Hello and welcome back to the Friday 5 for Friday, May 26th, 2023. It is a holiday weekend edition of the Friday 5. 5 quick questions we'll go through that maybe you've wondered about in the past, and then we'll get you into your holiday weekend. Question number 1 this week, does my will need to be notarized? This is a common question I get from clients, and the question usually is, why is my will notarized? And the answer is, from an attorney standpoint, legally, your will has to be signed and witnessed. We will add on the notary to give it that extra bit of credibility in case it ever gets challenged down the road. And the way we normally do that is with an affidavit of the subscribing witnesses, what's called a self-proving affidavit in some states. And what that says is that the notary has watched the witnesses sign the document that says they witnessed you sign your will. So the notary is not often required, but you have to check your local state rules. But we will usually do it when you're working with an attorney just to make sure we have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed and give it that extra bit of credibility in case it gets challenged down the road. Question number 2 this week, how can my estate plan work with my rental property? This came up in a conversation with a client who we had created some rental properties and put them into LLCs. And the next step in the process was, how do I do this with my estate plan? And in this case, the client has a wife and 2 kids. The kids are young. So what we're doing is we're setting up a trust for them. So it's a trust-based estate plan with a revocable living trust. And what we can do with that trust is actually have it be the owner of the LLCs for the rental properties. And the way that's going to do it down the road is that essentially creates a succession plan for the LLC, so that if the parents were to die, instead of making those LLCs go through your local probate court, the trust is the governing document, and the children can continue to reap the benefits of the rental property. Let's say they're underage, they can be kicking off income to them to help support their lifestyle. Question 3 this week, where should I file a probate? And the simple answer is normally going to be in the state where you live. In this particular situation, the question came up because the person who died lived in one state. However, they filed taxes and had businesses in another state. And so the question is, which state should they really be filing in? Now, for most people, this is not going to be a problem. You're going to live in the state where you work, and your local probate court will be the court that deals with your estate. If you have a will, the will will actually say what state law should be applied when it comes to your estate. In this particular case, the question came up because the person who died owned property in one state, although filed the taxes in the other one. And the answer to the question is going to come down to, what are we doing with that property? If that property is going to have to go through the probate court, it may be easier, it may be more expedient to go through the state where the property is located than to try to have a second state who's not necessarily familiar with the laws in your state try to sort everything out for an out-of-state property. Question number 4 this week, what's the difference between an S-Corp and an LLC? This question comes up a lot. I've probably even answered it a few times in the Friday 5s in the past. Remember, an S-Corp is a tax election. You're choosing how to be taxed when it comes to an entity, a corporation, your business. You can be taxed as an S-Corp, or you can be treated as a disregarded entity. Those are the 2 most common ones you're going to run into. You can be taxed as a partnership as well if that's what you're running. So the question is, should I have an S-Corp or an LLC? And the simple answer is you can have both. So the S-Corp is a tax election. Your LLC is a type of company you're setting up with your state. You look at your local state rules. You look at their regulations regarding an LLC. And if you're a single member LLC, you're going to come down to that question of, should I be a disregarded entity? Should I be an S-Corp with an S-Corp tax election? So an S-Corp and an LLC are not exactly apples to apples. It's a little bit apples to oranges, but they're all in the same basket, and they're things you need to deal with. And question number 5 this week, can a company own another company? In this case, can my company own an LLC? And as usual with the lawyer's answers, the first place to look is your local state laws and regulations, and you make sure it's allowed in your state. But in most states, one company can own another company. If you look at some of your favorite companies around the world, they often have subsidiaries, or they often own local companies or other smaller versions of themselves with a slightly different name. So it's very common for you to have one company own another company. That's it. It's a fast Friday 5. We're getting ready for the holiday weekend. There'll be a link in the description if you'd like to ask questions for future episodes. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you hit the thumbs up or the like button. You can go to YouTube to subscribe for future episodes. And wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend, and we will see you next week.